Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. In our last discourse, we did the first half of chapter 12, and we were talking about the yagya, the sacred fire ceremony, and why the Pandavas had such a difficult time after theirs, and Vedavyasa was sharing about the importance of the ingredients of what goes into the fire and the state of mind of the participants. So now we're going to talk more about a very special kind of fire ceremony. O King, the sattvic yagya, or fire ceremony, is rare. It can be done only by the sattvic munis who live in the third order of the household life or who live as hermits. The ascetics that eat daily the sattvic food, the roots and fruits collected from forest and obtained rightly, that is good to the munis, and that is well cleaned and purified, are the only ones that can perform with full devotions the sattvic yagyas, where no animals are sacrificed, and where offerings of cakes of ground rice in vessels are given. These are the best of all the sattvic yagyas. The Ksatras and the Vaisas perform the yagyas with abhimam, self-conceit and egoism, where many presents are given, animals are sacrificed, and all things are well cleansed, purified, and elaborately decorated. This yagya is called rajasic. The yagya is, according to the sages, tamasic, where the demons, puffed up with arrogance, infatuated with anger, jealousy, and wickedness, perform the acts with the sole object of killing their enemies. The yagya is called Manasa Yagna, or Manasic Yagna, which means mental yagya, where the high-souled munis, void of worldly desires, collect mentally all the necessary articles and perform the yagya with the sole object of liberation from the bondages of the world. In all the other yagyas, then the Manasa Yagna, some imperfection or other naturally arise due to some defects in the materials or want of faith or in the performance or in the Brahmins. No other yagya can be so complete as the Manasa Yagna. The reason being that in the other yagyas some imperfection come out due to time, place, and separate ingredients to be collected. Now here who are the persons to undertake this mental yagya in honor of the great goddess. First, this mind is to be purified by making it void of all the gunas. The mind being pure, the body becomes also pure. There is no doubt in this. When the mind becomes completely pure, after it has abandoned all sensual objects fit for enjoyment, then that man is entitled to perform the mother's Manasa Yagna. There he should build mentally the big hall for sacrifice, many yojanas wide, decorated with highly polished pillars of the materials brought with the purpose. Within the hall he will imagine a wide and spacious altar and place the holy fire on it mentally, according to the due rules and regulations. He is to select mentally the Brahmin priests and concentrate them as Brahma Ardyahu Hota Prastota Udgata Pratihata and other assistants. He is to worship mentally all of these priests. Then he will have to imagine the 5 vayus, prana, apana, vyana, sumana, and udana, as the 5 fires and locate them duly on the altar. Prana vayu stands for Ganapati, apana for Ashabaniya, vyana for Dakshina, sumana for Avasatya, and udana for Sabya Agni. These fires are all very terrible, then one should place these carefully on the altar with great concentration of mind. He is to collect then all the other necessary materials and think that all are very pure and free from any defects. In the Manasa Yagna, mind is the offer of oblations, and mind is the yajamana, the performer of the sacrifice. And the presiding deity of the sacrifice is the Nirguna Brahman. The great goddess, the Nirguna energy, who is always auspicious and gives the feeling of dispassion and indifference to worldly objects, is the awarder of fruits in this yagya. She is the Brahman Vidya. She is the substratum of all, and she is all-pervading. The Brahman is to take the Devi's name and offer oblations in the fire of prana, the necessary articles for the Devi's satisfaction. Then he is to make his chitta and prana void of any worldly thoughts or any worldly support, and offer oblations to the eternal Brahman through the mouth of Kundalini, the serpent fire. Next, within his nirvikalpa mind, by means of samadhi, he should meditate on his own self, the Mahashvati herself, by his consciousness. Thus, when he will see his own self in all beings, and all the beings in his own self, then the jiva will get the vision of the goddess Mahavidya, giving auspicious liberation, moksha. After the high-souled munis have seen the goddess of everlasting intelligence and bliss, then he becomes the knower of Brahman. All the Maya, the cause of this universe, becomes burnt up only as long as the body remains. The prabhada karma remains. When the jiva becomes liberated while living, and when the body dissolves, he attains to final liberation. Therefore, O child, whoever worships the mother becomes crowned with success. There is no doubt in this. Therefore, follow the advice of the Guru, the spiritual teacher, and with all attention hear, think, and meditate on the great goddess of the world. O king, liberation is sure to ensure of this Manasa Yagna. All the other yagyas are sakama, with some object in view, and therefore their effects are temporary. He who wants enjoyments in heaven should perform the Agni Stoma Yagya with due rites and ceremonies, such as the Vedic injunctions. But when the acquired merit expires, the sacrifice will have to come again into this world of mortals. Therefore, the Manasa Yagna is eternal and best. This Manasa Yagna is not fit to be performed by kings intent on getting victory. The Yagna that you perform, the serpent Yagna, was very tamasic, for you wanted to take vengeance on your enemy, the serpent Taksaka, and millions of serpents were made to be burnt in that sacrifice. O king, hear now how the Devi Yagna that was performed by Vishnu in the beginning of the creation. You better now do that Devi Yagna with due rules. I will tell you all about the rules. There are Brahmins that know the rules and know best also the Vedas. They know also the seed mantrams of the Devi, as well as the rules of their application. They are clever in all the mantrams. These will be your priests, and you yourself will be the sacrificer. O king, do the sacrifice duly and deliver your father from hell by the merits that you will acquire thereby. O sinless one, the sin incurred on account of insulting a Brahmin as your father did is very serious and leads the sinner to hell. Your father committed that sin and incurred the curse from a Brahmin. Therefore, he has gone to hell. Your father died also out of a snake bite, which is not a meritorious one. The death occurred also in a palace built high up in the air on a pillar instead of taking place on the ground on a bed of kusa grass. O best of Kurus, the death did not occur in any battle nor on the banks of the Ganges. void of proper bathing and charities, he died in a palace. O best of kings, all the ugly causes leading to hell were present in the cause of your father. See again, there is also one thing which thus will lead to one's liberation, but that was absent too with your father. That is this: let a man remain wherever he may, whenever he comes to learn that his end is approaching, even if he had not practiced before any good practices or meritorious deeds, and even if he becomes senseless in the trial time of death, when dispassion comes to an individual whose mind gets, for the time being, clear and free from any worldly thoughts, then he should think thus: this my body, composed of 5 elements, will soon be destroyed. There is no cause whatsoever in having any remorse for it. Let whatever comes, that it may. I am free, void of qualities, and I am the eternal Purusha. Death is not capable to do any harm to me. All the elements are liable to decay and destruction. What remorse can overtake me? I am not a man of this world. I am also free, always free, eternal Brahman. I have got no connection with this body. That is merely the outcome of actions. Before I did meritorious or unmeritorious acts leading to happiness and pain, therefore I have got this mortal coil and am enjoying the fruits of my past auspicious and inauspicious karmas. Whoever thinks thus and dies, even if he does not take proper purificatory bath or make any charity, he gets himself free from the awful samsara and never comes to see himself again born in this world. O King, this method of parting from one's body is rarely attained even by the yogis. This is the acme, the highest height of all the human efforts toward liberation. But your father, hearing even the curse from a Brahmin, retained his attachment toward his body. Therefore he did not attain dispassion. He thought thus: my body is now free from any disease, my kingdom is free from enemies or any other source of danger. How can I now get myself saved from this untimely death? Thinking thus, he ordered to call the Brahmin who knew the mantras. Then the king ascended to the palace with medicines, money mantras, and many other instruments. He considered his fate to be the strongest and therefore did not take his bath in any holy place. He did not perform any charities, did not sleep on the ground or remember any mantra of the Devi. Due to Kali entering into his body, he committed the sin of insulting a Muni and plunged himself in the ocean of delusion and died bitten by the snake Taksaka on top of a palace. The king has now fallen undoubtedly into hell on account of these vicious deeds. Therefore, O king, dost thou deliver your father from sin? Sutta said, O Rishi, hearing these words from the fiery Veda Vyasa, the king Janamejaya became very sad, and tears came from his eyes and flowed down his cheeks and throats. He then exclaimed in a suffocating voice, Fie on me, my father is still in hell. I will now do at once whatever leads my father to heaven. Thus ends the 12th chapter on the Divine Mother Yagna rules in the 3rd book of the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapurana of the 18,000 verses composed by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Harakandashvari Mata ki jai, Vashveshvari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.